All right. Welcome, everyone, to the 41st episode of Be Aiight. Um, and we are just starting. We're just going to go ahead and start. We're not going to really warm up. We're just going to let it rock. What have you been up to? I feel like we haven't talked in a while, even though it's only been a month. I mean, it's only been a week, right?
Yeah, it's only been a week. And
It
I
feels.
think this is our 1 year anniversary, right? Basically, more or less.
Yeah. You're right. Let's see. What was it? Was that? Is this the date?
I
Was
don't
it?
think it's the date, but
But it's been about, yeah,
yeah.
it's been about. I wonder what the date was. That date should be memorialized in history. We should figure that out. We can probably figure it out
I
if
mean,
we
we can
just find
definitely figure it out, but yeah.
UBI. Huh. I remember that. So I remember the first episode and listening to it, and it was just a weird experience to like hear yourself on a podcast. And I had so many critiques of myself as I still do, but that was a fun episode.
It
Um,
was, and it's funny. I feel like well, I'm not going to use we. I over prepared for that episode because I came with stuff to talk about. I feel like you just showed up. I feel like I can't hear you. I'm not sure what happened to your you're kind of like freezing, but anyway. Um yeah, uh I'm going to let Manny take his time to get back online while the folks that hacked into his internet figure it out. Like he has a bunch of he has Julian Assange hack into his network. But anyway, it is our 1 year anniversary, and I can't believe it's been that long. And quite frankly, when we started, I don't think I ever thought, like, I had no goals or whatnot for this podcast. It was just like, okay, we're just gonna get on it and we're just gonna talk about whatever comes to mind. Basically, just chit chat about the kinds of conversations that we will have as Black students in law school, conversations that were generally confined to the four walls of the safe space for Black students, Black law students, also known as Bowser office. And we're like, you know what? Why don't we have that conversation in public and have the world let them into our dark inner thoughts, our inner fears, the things that we think about, the things that we generally get concerned as to whether or not people, um, the things that we generally get concerned as whether or not people care about or people do not care about, or, just general conversations that we have as people. Now I'm still here waiting for Manny, just essentially just BSing this monologue, trying to act like I'm a sage, trying to like say some wise words and then have this voice that goes a little down and low and talks in mesmeric and atmospheric words and languages so that you can think that I actually know exactly what I'm talking about, which I certainly do know what I'm talking about. But you are probably wondering whether I do know or I don't know right now. But anyway, while I continue to wait for Manny, I hope that the folks that have abducted his internet connection are able to recover, and or at least is able to recover from him. And now it looks like he's back. It seems that
were you?
his computer just died.
My computer just died. I thought it was plugged in. It was. It's a long. It's not that long of a story. I don't know why I said it's a long story, but I have like what was that thing called? Like an extension cord. The extension cord wasn't plugged into the wall, but my my power cord was plugged into the extension cord. So it's not really a long story. It's not an interesting story. I don't know why I said it at all, but that's what happened. Who were you just giving? What were you just reading to the people?
I was just going on and on about the monologue, and I started talking in this voice just to sound like I'm a sage that knows what I'm talking about. Like, somebody that deserves to be listened to.
I can't wait to hear this back of like 5 minutes of just not straight nonsense. Oh man. You seem to be handling it perfectly fine. That's why I was like, should I even come in? I felt like I was interrupting something. I was like, maybe I should just leave. I think he's got it.
I think he's good. An intimate moment that was having with the listeners.
I mean, seemed fine. Like you seemed more comfortable by yourself than when I'm on. I was like, damn, all right, maybe I shouldn't interrupt what was happening with the people here.
Yeah, I was having a moment with the people, but now you got to get your black ass on and interrupt that conversation at a moment.
Oh man, that is hilarious. When I left, we were talking about the first episode. While I was getting my computer rev back up and plugged in, I noticed it was exactly a year that we uploaded our first Be Aiight video. I guess it was a Saturday that year. It was October
that
10th.
Year. Was that last year?
Yeah.
He said that year like it's like 15 years ago.
I mean, that year, it's not this year. Any year that ain't this year is that year, So, I mean, but it feels like it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's been.
I mean, that's wild. But
the interesting thing is, I remember when we started. I remember when we were texting back and forth about starting a podcast. Right? We're like, okay, what name should we give it? And then we basically thought about the same name at the same time.
Yeah.
But when we started, I don't remember having. Did we ever even discuss any plans, like, future plans for it? I don't remember any conversations around that.
I don't think so.
I feel like it was one of those things where it could have fizzled out after like 4 episodes, or
right. Or we do it for the rest of our lives. Like it was just whatever we want, which is that it has to be like that. It has to. Exactly. It can't be any way. I think you even maybe said that. Like it's just gotta. I know it's got to be like that. Where it's like
I was like, it can't be like work.
No, it can't be serious in any way, shape, or form.
And it can't be so rigid, like, oh, we have to do this every Wednesday. I'm like,
right. We have to upload every Friday at this time. Could you imagine? We would quit immediately. Like if we had an ounce of like of a schedule, I mean, we would both quit immediately. Right. It can't. It has to be this. It has to be. We might do it this week. I mean, we tend to do it on Sundays, but sometimes we can't, or we do it on the Saturday or whatever. So, but we make it work because that's the way you keep it fun.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, earlier today, I was really the first time that I really kind of like started thinking about it, like in a more serious way. That this has been going on for about a year. I wonder if this could actually become something.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like you have to balance like keeping it fun. I guess money's fun too, though. If we were getting paid, but then we'd have to do advertisements. We'd be like, hey guys, do you guys like to shave? Hey guys, we got this Dollar Shave Club Manscaped promo. Be Aiight. Get $5 off on your next. So
like, what the hell? Like use the code YBA 2020. Once again, YBA 2020.
YBA. You need to use it if you ever are in this. You ever feel like you need to manscape. You're not fresh down there. You want to get fresh down there. Use the code.
Manscaped commercials. They'll be like, your balls will thank you.
Yeah. Your balls will thank you. Your partners in your lives will thank you. Like so.
Yeah. Your grandmama will thank you. Like
yeah. What? Yeah, huh?
Like what, guys?
What guys? Oh my gosh. I think those are hilarious. Like when people are having a serious conversation and all of a sudden they have to just go into like an advertisement. It's like, damn. You forget. You're like, oh man, capitalism. I forgot.
Yeah.
You lose a little bit of street cred, but you get that money though. But you lose some street cred.
Who cares about street cred, man? Like, you get your bills paid. Like,
street cred be aight.
Yeah, street cred doesn't pay anybody's bills. I've never heard of a situation where that happened.
Like, someone said, look, yo, I ain't got any money, but the streets love me. So
yeah. the streets love me. Like,
the streets love a brother. So let me pay with this credit. But yeah, no, I don't know. But I like that. I like, you know, how it is. It's fun. And honestly, like, to get advertisements, you have to be pretty big. So
I don't think you have to be pretty big. But anyway,
I actually have no idea. I just said that. Yeah. I just know I listen to big podcasts and they have advertisements, but I actually don't know. But you know, that's how you we have a I'll do my own promotion for a show I'm putting on. But I was mentioning to you, we're trying to produce this monthly show in Philly, and one of the comedians that we're getting next month has like a pretty big podcast, or like big enough where I think she's doing advertisements. I'm not sure, but anyway, so she's like one of our comedians who's coming down and headlining one of our shows. And you know, she pretty much is like, look, I can sell out 2 shows. But based off of my fan base that I have in Philly. And there's probably like 100+ people per show. So, and she's, you know, she has a track record of selling out, you know, 200 to 400 capacity rooms across the country. And it's because a large part of it is because she has like a very solid podcast, a very popular podcast. She's got the podcast. It's like, wait, what guy? All of a sudden, I'm just not saying words. I'm just making up words. She's got a popular podcast and podcast followers, and that would be super dope. Like, as a comedian, that would be super dope to have.
Are you being cryptic about this person's name, or you can't mention?
No, I can say her name. I'm pretty sure.
I know this comedian.
It's Chris Rock. Chris Rock will be there. No, I'm just kidding. He's not even a woman. He's actually transitioned to a woman, and he will be there. He has a podcast. No, it's Ashley Gavin, who you've probably never heard of, but this person has you know, a pretty decent following.
I've heard of Ashley Judd though, and Ashley Graham, but.
Who? Oh yeah, nah. This is
Ashley what?
Gavin. You've never heard of her, but she has her Wikipedia page. But yeah, she's right around the type of comedian we want. Our whole concept of the show is to get comics who are we call it next in line comedy. So it's like comics who are they haven't blown up and they aren't, you know, household names yet, but they're kind of next in line to do that. And you know, we have them come down and to Philly, and we give them like a chance to do like a long set, maybe 45 minutes to an hour. We have a couple of local Philly comedians open for them, like some of the funniest comics we know, kind of open for them a little bit in the beginning. And you know, it's a pretty cheap show. Her show will be like $20, but a lot of our shows are going to be $10, which is very good price. So we're super excited to have her. We both have I've performed with her in New York. I was on a show that she was on. Super cool. So we're super excited.
She has a podcast called We're Having Gay Sex.
We're Having Gay Sex. Yep.
Yeah, it's the same Ashley Gavin. Okay.
Yeah, that's her. So yeah, that's November 20th. She'll be at a place called Frankie Bradley's in Philadelphia. If anyone's listening and they're in Philadelphia, you can get that on Eventbrite, or you can just follow Next in Line Comedy on Instagram.
Has over 500K followers on TikTok, over 30 million views. Jeez.
Yeah. She's really funny too. Like, so yeah, she thinks if she sells this thing out, twice, 2 shows.
She already has this thing on our website, like 1120.
Yep. Yeah, we've already pushed some tickets for it. It's like more than a month away. So as long as she promotes this thing,
I
Like
mean,
I've
this is what she
comp-
does full time, right? Like she's not like a lawyer on the side or something like that.
nah, I think she used to be a computer. She used to be like a computer engineer or something like that.
Okay.
Um, and I think I'm pretty sure she's transitioned full time. As you know, especially if she's pulling these types of crowds, like you can do that.
I mean, are you kidding me? If you can easily sell out 400,
Yeah,
you
she'll be
know,
at she be
like
aight.
you just need to do one show a month.
Thank you, Bi. I mean, we did the math. She's doing all right, and like you know, I was like, damn, I gotta get a podcast. I gotta like, I mean, we gotta get this podcast up and running. You know, get these followers, and because she's literally living the dream. Like that's what I'd want to do. You know,
Yeah.
she does you know, I mean, seriously, like she could do like a couple of shows like a week, which she probably does more just because she wants to. Like I would want to do more shows, not even because like I'd have to. I'd just be like, oh, cool, like I can go do several shows a week or whatever, and you know.
I mean, Ashley Gavin, if you listening to UBI, you got to come on the show. You know,
let's mix UBI with we're having gay sex and
let's have this conversation. Let us have a conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
I know.
Yeah, it's really interesting how it's such a diverse range of things that people do.
Yeah.
And you know, we're talking last week in the last episode about how we're all in our own bubbles, and she has her own crowd. Like,
Yeah.
and they pay her bills. That's all that matters.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's interesting to see, but yeah, that's if you can get a following, if you can get a crowd, you know, people to come out and see you. That's the name of the game, and you know, people are doing it through all different types of avenues now: TikTok, Instagram, podcasts, all three. You know, so. But in addition, she's actually a very funny comedian who is talented at stand-up comedy. So she's also fun to see in person, which is really cool.
Is the purpose of a comedian to be funny? Like, is that the purpose? Is to make people laugh?
I would say so. Yeah. I mean, if you're not making people laugh, you just are giving a TED talk.
Yeah, I mean, maybe,
which is fine if you want to give TED talks, but it's like if I came to laugh and you're just up there talking about, I don't know, string theory or whatever, you know, that's fine, but that's not what I paid for. So
you never know. You know, Isaac Asimov, like, you know who that is?
Who is it? No, I don't think so.
Isaac Asimov. That's last. You know, you don't even.
Nah.
We're not gonna get into it. It's like, yeah, it's all good.
Isaac, let's see.
It's a writer, but anyway, it's a science fiction writer.
Got you.
But anyway, it is, yeah. Anyway, switching topics just quite, you know, just like a little bit. I saw headlines.
I just want to say your mic is a little. I think maybe you're too close to it. It sounds like it's like you're a little too close.
A little too close, a little too loud.
Yeah, like you know how like you go into it too loud and it kind of gets a little fuzzy, just a little bit. It's nothing crazy, but
it's nothing crazy. It's just kind of.
But if we had enough infrastructure to have like a what is it called, like a producer, they'd be like, hey, dude, they'd bring the mic down, but we don't have that. We're keeping it keeping it low budget, you know.
We're keeping it gangster. That's what we're talking
about. Yeah, maybe
keeping it gangster.
Yeah, exactly. We keep it real. We got that street cred. We ain't got no money, but we got that street cred, though. Well, do we have street cred? I don't know. I don't think we actually even have street cred, but
street cred.
We'd be aight.
But anyway, so did you see the controversy this week about some jokes that, or some things about trans people that
Dave Chappelle? Yeah, I did. I saw the special. Did you see the special?
No, I've not seen the special. I only saw the headline. But yeah, I mean, and what are your thoughts about it? I'm like, I'm gonna ask you.
You put me on the spot, man. I'm about to get my ass canceled. You know who I'd love to have on here? I'd love to have Gary on here from last week. Because Gary's asked, so I'm friends with him on Facebook, and he was defending the special, like, y'all be aight, basically. He's like, Dave's the GOAT. But I mean, it's a little hard to because I know you haven't.
Can you set the stage about what they actually said anyway, so that
Um, I ain't repeating those jokes. No, I'm just kidding. They're not like so I've actually talked to a couple of people about it. But you know, Dave Chappelle, if you've been watching his specials over the past few years, he has been talking a lot about the trans community. I mean, I guess the LGBTQ community, but like specifically the trans community. And so I think this one is called The Closer. This is his last installment of comedy specials that he has on Netflix. He got like a $20 million deal or so. And so he's been doing specials from like 2016 to now. And he's calling this The Closer. This is the last specials he's going to do on Netflix for a while. And this one kind of wraps up, you know, the themes and ideas that have been in the other specials about the LGBTQ community, women, racism. But I think what's most controversial is like comments he said about the trans community. And I think sound bites are dumb on both sides. Because if you're just like, oh man, Dave Chappelle's transphobic trash, but you haven't seen the special, it's like you watch, you haven't seen it. Like you can't, your opinion's not valid. Watch it first, listen to it, and then if you still think he's trash, then we can have a conversation. But until you've seen it, like just shut the fuck up. But then also on the other side, people are like, oh, everybody's just so sensitive and everybody's a bitch and all that. Like there was a showrunner, a trans woman who was a showrunner for Dear White People on Netflix. And she tweeted that she could no longer work for Netflix because Netflix released this special. And my initial reaction was like, yo, everybody needs to stop being so damn sensitive and PC and blah, blah, blah. But then when I saw that she had an interview and I listened to what she said, I'm like, what she's saying is reasonable. She's not saying Dave Chappelle should be, you know, shot or canceled. But she's just saying, you know, she has concerns about the broader message and how it could affect trans people. Not that she didn't use the word offended. She's like, I'm not offended. It's just that, like, I think that this could be a dangerous message to put out because it can put real people's lives in danger. I think that's a reasonable thought process. But I also think if you listen to Dave Chappelle's entire special, you know, it's he's trying to make a point. It's not one I necessarily agree with, but I think his larger point is that white supremacy operates behind all of this. And
behind all of what?
Behind like even so like issues that people like the LGBTQ community, and he kind of says like the larger LGBTQ community, issues they may have about certain people. He uses DaBaby as an example. Did you know about DaBaby? Remember his comments? Yeah. So DaBaby's a rapper. So Dave Chappelle, one of the first things he says was he addresses the LGBT community and he's like, look, I come to you all in peace and I'm here to negotiate the release of DaBaby. And so so that's where he starts. So
you gonna throw the baby out with the
yeah. It's that's kind of where he starts. It's like, you know, his larger message is, you know, there are. I think he's saying that like the LGBTQ community is like advancing faster than seemingly black people as far as getting their rights. And I think he's blaming that on the fact that there are white people who are in the LGBTQ community. And he's kind of going at white people, and he's kind of going at how white supremacy has infiltrated the LGBTQ community causes and how sometimes the LGBT community will come down hard on black people like DaBaby, etc., blah blah blah. It's an interesting thesis. Obviously, there are plenty of people who are not white who are in the LGBTQ community. So it's a little more complicated than his special allows it to be. But it's one of those things where it's like you kind of have to see it first and just.
But I thought he talked specifically about trans people. So
yeah, he does make trans comments. So like he, you know, the thing he says where And again, it's a little hard because it's like they are jokes, but I know in like newspapers, it comes across as like him making like serious statements at the UN, where it's just like, but like what he says is, gender is a fact. But he doesn't just say it like I'm saying it right now, like it's in a form of a joke. But I think he truly believes that. But he also says, I'm not saying trans women aren't women. This is kind of fucked up. This is where even he said, "Ooh, I'm in trouble now." Like even after he said this, it was like he was like, he said, "I'm not saying trans women aren't women, but I'm just saying," and I can't do it like he does. But he's like, it's like, but that pussy is like beyond pussy or impossible pussy. And then the whole audience laughs. He's like, "Oh boy, I'm in trouble now. I did it now." And so I think that's kind of what they're harping on, is like that specific moment or moments like that. And it's interesting, But I get both sides of the issue. I also try to.
I knew you were going to both side it.
Yeah, you knew I was gonna boast. I'm not gonna pick a side.
I knew you were
What are you,
going to both
crazy?
side it. Like I wanted to like call up like a bookie or something. I'd be like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna have this conversation with Manny. Let's
Put
some
$5
odds
billion
out there.
that he's gonna pick both sides, and
Yeah,
he's
like
gonna
he's
try to
gonna
be
pick one side.
diplomatic.
Like,
Yeah, no, I'm gonna
please.
pick, because like no, what do I think about I think the special, like as far as like a piece of art, there are some parts that I feel are a little lazy,
It's
but
not his best work. Let's put
right,
it like
it's not. I don't think it's his best work, but I do think it's interesting to see him. He has a lot of big ideas, and to see him work on these ideas for 4 years. I don't necessarily agree with his ideas, but like for them to come together in this closer, and he has a really poignant story about a trans woman that he knew at the end, and tries to make points with that. And I don't know, but I still think he's one of the best to ever do it, and I think that he's one of the few comedians where I can watch his special and I legit, it's very thought provoking. Like I'm legit thinking hard about race, sexual identity, sexual orientation, trans community, feminism. Like I'm thinking about all that stuff, and like, what do I think about it? Like I know what he says, and I know how he says it, and I know he said it in a very funny way. But what do I think about that as a black man, and like what he's trying to say? And that's rare. Like I think he's one of the few that really makes you think that hard about stuff. And also is, he's a comedian. Like he's making people laugh. So I know it's not really an answer. I wish it was.
it's not an
But
answer. I mean, w- you know, I like Dave Chappelle. What I sometimes get from some of these comedians that, um, and I think they cry or bitch about being, and I will put him in that category as well,
oh yeah, for sure.
about being canceled, is the fact that you say certain things and you don't want people to critique it. Like comedy, especially when you get to a particular, when you get to be big as he has been,
Yeah.
he knows what he's doing. And he knows that people are not listening to what he's saying, just not in the literal sense of just wanting to laugh about it. But he knows that a lot of what he says are commentary on the culture and society in general. So he pretends, and Dave, you can come on the show and refute what I'm saying if you want.
Yeah, we'll put him in the description again. We keep putting him in our description. I hope
I
he sees
know
this one day.
is
Just
it
tag
will
him.
be one day. I think that it pretends sometimes that it will say things, whether it's a joke or not. Like you know, it is what it is. But you have to also be able to understand that people will critique it, and it's not the fact that people don't like what you say about trans people, or people, or LGBTQ folks, doesn't mean that they want to cancel you. There are ramifications that could be negative, because if you have someone of a status saying certain things and validating some of the behavior that people, or I would say that seems to be validating some of the behavior that people have, some of the hateful behavior that people have towards the people of, the LGBTQ folks,
Hmm.
the way they think of, they think of them a certain way and also react to them certain way, and society treats them certain ways. If you seem to be validating and dismissing that as part of your joke, I mean, as part of your work, it's you can't expect people not to critique it or not to say something about it.
Yeah.
Like the best way I can think of it is if you have someone say something about black folks. So yeah, it could be funny.
Hmm.
Like you could say something about it, it could be funny. People will laugh about it, or people may laugh about it. But you better be damn sure that some people will complain about it as well.
Yeah.
So so I don't buy, his fake outrage and whatever. He knows what he's doing. He knows
Yeah.
he knows to some degree he has to stoke some of these types of controversies. It's part of selling the show.
Oh my
Like
God.
it's not
Absolutely.
yeah, he's not backing down from
No.
whatever he's been
I,
saying. This is not the first time he's talked about trans folks in his job.
no.
So
He
he's
he knows
doubling down.
he knows exactly what's going on.
Exactly.
And
He knows and knows exactly. And the thing is, the parts that they talk about it, I don't even necessarily get this, like those parts, because the way he tells his jokes, he tells them like his stories, right?
right.
And you don't laugh at everything he says. Those
Right.
parts are not necessarily funny, to be honest. Like he just talks about it, just like the way you're commenting
Right.
on societal issues. So technically, it doesn't have to be there, and it wouldn't change anything from the work itself. From the show.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's why I would have loved. I'm blanking out on his name now. Shit, to come on the show.
Gary.
Yeah, Gary to come
Yeah. I
on the
wish
show.
Gary. We should
Because
have. We should have just texted
I mean,
Gary's black
because
ass.
I mean, but for me, it's not about canceling him. Like
He's not gonna get canceled.
he's not gonna get canceled. Like he's too big to be canceled.
He's too big to cancel.
Yeah, he's too big to be canceled.
Unless he commits like a serious crime or something, and
Yeah,
even
like if he
then,
pulls can you imagine if Dave is actually like R. Kelly?
yeah. I mean, if he's pulling some type of that shit, if he's like secretly Bill Cosby or some shit, okay, maybe. But if he's just a guy who's just out there telling these jokes, and he's he's not gonna get canceled, and like he knows, and that's the thing too. Like he's purposefully stepping in it because
Yeah.
he revels in, he loves it. Like he's doing it on purpose, and like. He really does, I think, honestly feel this way, but I think he knows he's not supposed to say things that he feels, and he knows that it's going to get a reaction, and he has a huge. I mean, talk about a fan base. I mean, forget it. He'll always be able. I mean, you should. I mean, all of these specials are full of thousands of people who are there laughing. Like it's not like he has trouble selling tickets. I've seen him twice since he's done all this shit.
Yeah, he's uncancelable. Like
Yeah.
if I don't get what he says. If Netflix or
If they drop him,
Netflix doesn't sign him,
if he
Amazon
releases,
Prime,
he could release it himself. Are you
that's what I
fucking
was gonna
kidding
say.
me?
Amazon Prime is gonna pick him up. Like he would just do a show by himself and just go on tour. He probably enjoys that shit anyway more than
Doing the stupid Netflix stuff. If Netflix canceled, if they were like, oh, we're taking down the special, he would literally just film the special either on his own or through another network, but he could just put it on YouTube now. And that's how a lot of comedians are doing it. And I was thinking about this today. A lot of like big, like really good comedians, like they've been like, you kind of have to be canceled. Like that's not canceled, but like that's like gives you, talk about street cred. It's like, that's a selling point. Like it's in to be canceled. People want someone who's controversial somewhat. Like nobody wants someone who like you could easily
that
put
does
on
both sides.
on Good Morning America and fucking do your set, and everyone's like, oh, haha. Like nobody wants somebody who's like that in with the fucking establishment of, you know what I mean? Like
nobody wants someone that is not going to take a stand one way. And if you're going to take a stand, like especially if you really believe something and it's kind of unpopular,
right?
I think people respect it
because I know it's real.
Yeah.
Like you just
talking about people taking both sides of it. I'm really waiting for when you actually take an unpopular side, because I don't know what side of an issue that I feel like most issues you're probably on the side of majority of the population.
Yeah. at
Uh,
least of people. Well, maybe not the majority of the population, but
yeah,
like
maybe not the majority,
but like
but
the majority of the people I'm in. It's interesting because like I have jokes about like recently I've done some political stuff. I have this segment where I do jokes about Trump, but I also do jokes about Biden. Like, and so I kind of I hit them from both sides, and so I want everyone to laugh. And because I honestly do feel that way about both, but I think it's just funny to balance it out. Because I don't want to be someone who's like, oh, I can only go to his show if I'm like a staunch liberal or I'm a staunch whatever. Like, I want everyone to just be like, we're all kind of ridiculous in some way. Like, how can we all laugh at this shit? Um, but
But that's the thing, though. Like, I feel like you can have a show for everyone. Now it depends on what genre you're trying to go on. I mean, you're trying to be at, if that makes
mhm,
sense. And what I mean is, say for instance, there are some people that they all they do is political comedy,
right,
and when they do that, you just know that okay, your folks are your folks. Like, I I don't get a sense that if anyone would truly have a following until they really become controversial. Like, you have to be good and be good enough where even people that don't like hearing you they can't wait for you to say. They're still going to listen to what you say, but they
right.
can't wait for you to say it so that they can yell about it.
You
And I
know
think
who?
that is the kind of stuff that
You know who's really good at that? Fucking Ben Shapiro. I like listening to his ass, even though I disagree with everything he says, because I think he's funny as shit, and I think he needs to go on tour.
yeah. See, I don't. I have never really listened to Ben Shapiro
Oh my
before,
god, is
in
he?
the sense of like listening to him, like just his show. But I've seen clips of what he says,
It's
and
entertaining as hell. Oh my
those are very
god,
funny.
he's like funny, like, and he like I'm
You know,
like he'll say something that like, oh man, like he's like like the when he was talking about the WAP song or whatever. Like I could listen to that rant. It's the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, and he know, I don't know, but
I don't
like
think he knows it's funny. Like, he
I
knows
think
it's
he no.
funny
There's
trying
times
to
he says stuff and he's like, "That's fucking." He knows that shit's funny. Like he's actually like, I think he's a funny person. Like I think he's a funny individual. Not like I'm making fun of him. Like I think he's actually a funny person. The way he
yeah. I
thinks
mean,
about shit.
I think it's funny in the sense that a lot of people are like he has a sense of humor and he makes fun of people and makes fun of things.
Yeah.
But he's not necessarily funny in the sense of like I want to make people laugh and that is what I want to do. I don't think that's going to work for him. Like, if you do shows as much as he does, like he has his own radio show or whatever
Hmm.
every day of the week. Yeah, you're going to say things that are funny here and there. I would guess the majority of what he says is not funny. It's just a bunch of what he says are hateful stuff. So, and
If he, if he was on like if he was politically progressive or liberal, I think liberals would love him and think he's hilarious. Like
but you think,
he would be like Trevor Noah like esque. Like his show could be that good, in my opinion.
you
I
think
see
so?
it. It's just that he's saying stuff that people don't like. A lot of people I know don't agree with. But I think so. That's the thing about being a comedian too. Like you kind of have to be able to. I think any good comedian or any good person who like is presenting ideas, you have to be able to see both sides. Like I can think of an issue, and I can argue why I can make a joke about it from this side and that side. Like I should be able to hold both things in my mind. Like it doesn't mean like I 100% agree with this side or 100% agree with this side, but I can see both sides of the argument. And I can see why it's funny, why this might, or I can see the funny parts on this side and I can see the funny parts on this side.
Yeah. You can say
He
the funny
has it.
parts about, yeah. I mean, but the difference is he says the funny parts about why black people get gunned down in the streets. So yeah. I mean, you can make an argument one way or the other. We go back and forth. I'm not laughing at that joke. So
Yeah,
so
I mean, but that's what trans people are saying about Dave Chappelle.
exactly.
It's the same exact thing. So it's
So
like, yeah, I hear you. It's a reasonable position to take.
eh, eh, that's the thing. Except that Dave Chappelle is a comedian, right? And he is not a comedian. Like, he is supposed to be whatever he is. So maybe he's an entertainer. I mean, a lot of these
He's an
lines are blurry.
entertainer. I don't. I mean, a lot of these podcast guys. Like he in another life, he could totally be a comedian or something. If I think of like someone who has a big podcast or someone like Dave Chappelle who has a huge audience through his Netflix specials, at the end of the day, these people are entertainers and they're also saying what they think. I understand, like, Dave Chappelle is technically a comedian, but to act like he's completely divorced from what he's saying and like this isn't from coming from an authentic place and coming from like his thoughts, like it's just not
No, I
true.
think people think that's what he thinks. That's why they're mad and upset at him. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like I don't think anyone thinks. I mean, like that's why they're saying, he keeps saying these things that people find objectionable, and yeah, I mean, the way that I've always thought of jokes is, if you're a comedian, when you're in the moment, make whatever joke you want to make. Like, whether you think is controversial the more controversial, I actually think the better. I don't think you can be a comedian and be successful without being controversial. Like, if you believe certain things and it's not popular, you have to talk about it. Like, you should talk about it. You should, and you should stand by you and let the chips lie wherever they fall. But one thing I will also say is you should just also know that, um, you know, if you there is some chance that whatever you're saying in the moment right now may not be the same 5-10 years from now, and you may have evolved even by that time anyway. You may have evolved as a comedian anyway and say, I probably wouldn't make that joke anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Example I like to give is, the whole blackface, thing that people used to do in the 30s. People laughed at them. Like, I think people thought they were funny at the time, but
Mm-hmm.
these days it's not. Nobody really finds them funny anymore.
Yeah.
And if you are a comedian and still trying to do blackface jokes, you better be sure. I mean, you better come at it from an
That
angle
needs
that
to
is
be
really going to be.
a tight joke. Like
Yeah,
that joke needs to be really well crafted and coming from a very unique perspective. And you put
I
in the
know.
work for
You
years.
bet. You bet. Like,
Yeah,
you
it's
better
not
come
good.
at it, bro. Like, you better know what the hell you're doing. Otherwise, nobody's gonna be laughing with you. Like, and then when
Yeah,
people yell and cry about it, you can't now say, "Oh, but like, people are so sensitive, they're trying to be canceled or whatever." Like, get your ass out of here. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Did you
So,
hear? Yeah, no, I hear you.
but anyway, we've beaten this horse.
Is that even a? I think that's made up. I don't think that's a phrase. We've
It's a
bitten this
phrase, like,
horse.
you're beating a dead
Oh,
horse.
beaten. No, I thought you said we've bitten. Like we took a bite out of the horse. I was like, I don't think that's a thing. I don't think you
Like,
bite a
there's a
horse.
difference between bitten and beaten. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
Bitten and beaten? Yeah, you when you bite something, when you beat
Yeah,
something.
yeah, like, they all sound the same. See, that's the thing with English language. English speakers like to
They're
think
two
that
different words.
they are two different words,
Yeah.
but they don't materially sound different from each other. The way that you
No,
say it
oh,
just say,
I know, but I'm just, but if I think it's bitten, then I'm thinking of you biting a horse, like a horse, right in the ass. I don't know why it was in the ass, but that's how I thought. I was like, that's an interesting phrase. I don't think that's a. We took a bite out of this horse. We're gonna keep moving along.
like, I'm trying to, like, think about the optics of that. Like, I'm trying to think about me going, sneaking behind a
Sneaking
horse.
behind a stable and like biting a horse's ass. Yeah, I was like, I mean, hey, look, however you need to move along in the podcast, whatever you want to bite a horse,
What,
do what
whatever
you got to
makes you happy,
do.
whatever gets you through the day.
Yeah, if you need to bite that horse, you got to do what you got to do. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I don't know, but Dave Chappelle, he'll be fine, and I would if he was coming live, I'd still see him. And I don't know.
Do you think it's
Like,
lost something?
you think he's lost something?
I'm asking you. Like, like, I'm just thinking to the last few shows he's had. Do you think it's like lost, like, a
A
thing? Like,
little, yeah. I know what you mean. Like, my favorite specials are before this, right? My favorite specials are from like early 2000s. Like, my
Mhm.
favorite special of all time is from 2004. And he wasn't talking about a bunch of trans stuff, though he did have he had stuff about R. Kelly back then. He had stuff about Kobe and Michael Jackson, and his celebrity stuff was really, really funny. he had this hilarious joke about this homeless guy jerking off on a bus. It was just it was just a different he is I don't know. That's the Chappelle I really enjoyed. This other thing where he's like taking all these stances and trying to go at the LGBTQ community. I mean, regardless of how I feel about the substance of his opinions, it's kind of like, dude, talk about something else, like let's move on.
That's
But he
what
also,
that's
yeah,
really how
it's
I
like
yeah.
just move on. I think we got it. Like, let's talk about something else. I don't know. I'm curious to see what you think about literally almost anything else at this point. I get it. I get where you stand when it comes to that shit. All right. Would have been cool if I just didn't even know, if you just never addressed it. You could have not addressed it. You could just have those thoughts and not. But he really wanted to. I think the thing is, he said a couple of things, and people were like, "Oh man, you're out of touch." Blah blah blah, and then he doubled down, and he was like, "Well, let me explain to you where I think, why I think what I think." And while it's thoughtful what he did, it's like it's still you're just defending kind of old views. You know what I mean? Like you're kind of just doubling down on shit. We're like, dude, it's 2021. Like, so. He just really doubled down on it, and he saw he could capitalize off the fact that he's not supposed to say these things, but he had enough people that still liked him and respected him as a comedian, and he gets standing ovations when he goes to places. He actually just recently got a standing ovation somewhere, and he was like, "Well, this is what it feels like to be canceled. This is great." Like he said that, so he knows he's not actually canceled, and that he'll be fine, and he's making millions of dollars, and he'll be all right.
Yeah. I feel like it's I feel like he's lost something. Like he's lost a step. Like he probably needs to go to South Africa again and
yeah, or maybe not, because that's what happened. Like he went away and then came back, and it's like something's different. Like you see moments of like the old Chappelle and like the brilliance of it, but yeah, some of the stuff is just like,
like I feel like he's still riding on that Chappelle show train.
Yeah, like
because that was such a genius show.
Yeah,
I mean, and it was so funny and yeah.
I don't know.
Like, it feels to me like, is it Key and Peele? Or
yeah, Key and Peele.
Yeah, Key and Peele. And what I mean by that is their show is funny, but I feel like if they did stage stuff,
oh yeah, they're terrible at stand-ups.
Yeah,
they're horrible. Like, and I like their sketches a lot. I like Key and Peele's sketches a lot, but their stage stuff is terrible. Yeah. Like, and they're not, because they're not stand-up comedians. Like, you can see the difference. Yeah.
I feel like Dave should probably, this is me trying to be a life coach, and that's why I'm going to talk like this. Dave, you should consider, going back to your roots, the Chappelle show.
Yeah, do some sketches.
Do some sketches. Like, I think that is really where I feel like there are even ways where he can still write some of what he's thinking about some of these issues that are controversial, so to speak. Like I can imagine this scenario where we will be able to bring those out in those sketches, right? And it will be it will be legendary, but
it will get him canceled, actually canceled, because then he'll have to like hire actors to do it, and he'll actually get like if he brought some of that shit to life, he would actually get canceled. Because I feel like it's easier to say shit and people to be like, "Oh, I didn't see it or I didn't hear him; it was a joke." But like if a sketch is harder to forget.
Look! Think about how he made fun of R. Kelly.
Yeah, I'm saying like some of the jokes he did, if he did those like in a sketch, people would be like, all right,
I'm not saying he would do them in a sketch, but sometimes when you do a sketch, right, like the way you write it is different from where it doesn't evoke the same type of visceral reaction.
Perhaps, but I'm thinking if you put them shits in a sketch, but I mean, I don't know. I actually prefer his stand up to a sketch, which may be an unpopular opinion. But like, I mean, the Chappelle Show was fine, but like, I thought I was obsessed with his stand up and like, especially his earlier stuff. So I mean,
stuff was very good. I just think he's lost something. Like like he's lost.
Yeah,
like I don't think even if he went back into doing sketches, I'm not positive that will be as good as the Chappelle show. You know what I
I
mean?
don't
Like,
think so. I think that
yeah,
moment came and passed. To be honest,
yeah,
it
he
would
should just
not be
retire.
good.
Like, he should cancel himself and retire.
Cancel himself. No, I want to see him do stand up. I do. I really do, because he's entered into this weird phase where he can kind of say whatever he wants, um, and so he's interesting to watch. But yeah, the Chappelle show, that was a moment in time, and it was great when it happened. But I have no interest in watching that in 2021, like whatever he would be doing in 2021. I just want to see him do stand up, and he will. That's the cool thing. He will. But at the same time, I get why people are, you know, um, people got things to say about that special. Like, yo, bro, what the hell? I want to just see him talk about other stuff. I really think that's where he shines on his specials now. Anyway, it's like it's not this like LGBTQ stuff. Like, dude, just stop.
But anyway, it's all
Yeah,
good. So,
yeah.
what else have you been up to?
Uh, nothing much. We just finished going to 5 weddings in the past 2 months.
Is that it now? Are you all
We are
done? Or you still
done
have
for
more coming up?
2021 at least, and it was cool. It was but we're tired and we're glad that it's over with. But they were all great and different in their own way. But it's nice to not have to travel for weddings and stuff for a little bit. And then
That
I've
must
also
be.
just been. What'd you say?
I was good. I was gonna say that must be expensive too, right? Or do these folks pay for y'all's travel?
No, no, they don't pay. No, I mean we like traveling, so we like going to different places. So it's been fun. But we've had one in California, one in upstate New York, one in we just were in Northern Virginia. One was in Philly. Only one was in Philly, and then the other one was in right at upstate. Another one was in upstate New York, but like right outside of New York City.
Like, so this is an interesting one. So, what do you think about destination weddings? Like, do you think the people that do them are inconsiderate? Like,
It's like, don't invite me to that shit. No. No, I actually we went to a destination wedding in Mexico. I think it's fun. Like if you like the people that you're going to be there with, I think they're fun. And if you can't make it, you can't make it. I think it's fun. Like if someone can't afford to go, you have to understand that might happen if you're inviting people. Don't put pressure on people if they can't make it. But we like to travel. We have the means to travel. So
so that's you, right? Like,
that's
you have
just me. But if it's
yeah.
someone else and it's like I don't like to travel or I don't have the money right now, that's a little rude. But you, as the person inviting them, have to be cool with them not coming.
What is rude?
What is rude?
Mm-hmm.
Like what is
When
the
you say that is a little rude, what part? Inviting them or them not
putting
being
them in
able
that
to go?
situation where they're like, nah, I can't make it. That'd be fun to be in Jamaica, but I can't. I literally can't
See,
do it.
so that was exactly what I was gonna say. Like, there seems to be this societal pressure. When people can say no, even if they're struggling. Like, the fact that you have money to do X, Y, Z doesn't mean, one, you necessarily want you to use it to do that. Two, doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you have, I don't know, 3-4 days that you can just take off.
Right.
Because the cost is not just buying tickets. Like, if you are in a certain kind of job, it's not super convenient for you to do that. If you have limited vacations, i- you know having to just break that up is
Yeah.
not it's not convenient for many people.
Yeah.
And I feel like societally people can't say no, so you have a situation where folks are pitching. If you say, oh, I can't do this, you get put in a box, you get looked a certain way. And the reason I thought about it was because I read something a while ago about a couple that sent folks that they invited to a wedding that didn't show up a bill. So they invited them to like a destination wedding, and they didn't. Those the invitees,
Right.
the guests that did not show up, they sent them a bill. And of course, there was this discussion online about, okay, is that cool or not? And
That's not cool. Like I didn't show up to your shitty wedding. I don't want to. I have nothing to do with this. You can't. That's literally just like
so so to put more context into it, the folks that were doing the wedding, they tried as much as possible to confirm with folks, right? And say, hey, if you can make it, you know, let us know. But if we have you down, it cost us X, Y, or Z to do and so that's the rationale. But to me, I'm still like, no, if you're gonna do something, whether it's destination or not, you have to understand that some people may or may not be able to make it for different reasons. Like they fell
Right.
sick, they had an
Yeah, and it should
like
be none of
what
your
event,
business. Don't
yeah,
even follow up.
what events can you guarantee 100% of people showing up to? 100% that said they were going
Especially
to
when
show.
it's like across the country or like in the Caribbean or some shit. Like, so you're saying these people confirmed at some point that they were
Yeah,
coming?
they confirmed that they were coming
Okay.
and then they didn't show up.
That's a little bit different if you're saying I confirm that I'm coming and you never say, hey, I actually can't come. That's a little bit different, but because it's like if you say you're coming,
Okay,
did they have to
you
pay anything? You should also have it in place where if you're saying you're coming, you have to pay something. You have to put down some type of deposit to know that who's actually coming. I guess it's not fair to just be like,
deposit for what? Like, what are you depositing for?
I feel like we've done that before. Like there's some type of deposit you have to put in before you go to a destination wedding. I've seen that before. I mean, I think it's like maybe a deposit towards your room or something, but like it's a way to just have people put money in. So like, okay, these people are actually coming.
Yeah, but maybe that is true. I mean, maybe that happened, but the bottom line is these folks are sending them a bill. So maybe they did all of that. Like they thought they were coming, and for whatever reason they couldn't make it.
But that's rude just but that's rude on the other hand side though. It's like anyone who says they're coming, you should keep the person updated of whether or not you're actually coming. Like I think that's true just of weddings in the US or weddings that aren't destination weddings. It's like I don't know many people who are like, "Oh, I'm going to tell these people I'm coming and then just not show." That's a little rude. Like you've already RSVP'd and then you're like, "Nah, you be aight." Like what that's a little ignorant. I've never done that shit where I'm just like, yeah, I'll be there, and then I'm just like, fuck that. And then the day of, I'm like, I'm not going to that shit. Like that's weird to me.
No, so it has happened to me before, and this was actually a wedding in the same city that I was in, and it was one of those times where I was working like a donkey. Like I was gonna go, I already
Mm-hmm.
RSVP. In fact, I wore the suit that I was gonna wear to the wedding into work on that Saturday. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
that I could just leave. But it was one of those things where I couldn't leave because you know what I like. If you work in a
Yeah.
big law firm, I mean, I don't know. Like
Yeah.
it was,
No.
and I feel like it was one of the very first epiphanies that I had. Like, nah, this is not for me. I had to apologize to the,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
so now that's an
But
example,
you
right?
also apologized and told them. You weren't just like, man,
No, but
fuck
of
these
course it
people.
could be after because it was the day of the wedding. I think it was probably I may have texted them like maybe the next day or something. I don't remember. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like that. Hey,
Okay.
because
Like it.
you would maybe the same day. Actually, I don't even remember. But because I would think that if you're getting married, who cares?
Yeah,
Like
you don't. Yeah, at
like
that point, it's like I don't need to. Don't text me.
yeah
I know what you mean. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I think that was how I thought about it. Like okay,
Yeah.
but anyway, but my point being, so that was my quote unquote excuse. But other people have other things that come up, like it may not be exactly like that, but it's something that disrupts or disrupted their life in a way that they couldn't show up. And yeah, so
Yeah.
so you can imagine that situation where that person now sent me a bill like, okay, you were one of the 400 people that I was going to invite, and I paid $93 a plate. So
What if they heard this episode and they send your ass a bill? Like, I forgot he didn't show up. Fuck him.
I
And then they
know.
just send you a bill, send you
And,
an invoice. That would be that is I mean, I get it though from a wedding planning standpoint though. I mean, because you did pay a certain amount and you expected a certain number of people to be there, but you got to have some grace. Like your situation, I don't know. It just kind of is what it is. Like, I wouldn't be that angry. You told me you couldn't come. I, I don't know. I don't
I feel
know.
like
But
if you're gonna do something like that, like you should probably be able to estimate that between five
yeah,
and
I
five
feel like
percent
there
of
should
people
be
wouldn't show up.
there's some
Like,
type of grace. Yeah, that they
yeah,
figure out. Like, oh, we have to plan on 5% of people not showing up
yeah.
or something
So
like that. So, we'll be in around this range. Some people might get sick or some people just whatever. Yeah, but with the destination thing, I I don't know. I mean, you just have to really confirm with people because if they have their flights and all that stuff, I don't know. I feel like it's harder for stuff to show up to come up the next day. I'm sorry, that day of where you're like, I can't make it. Because it's
yeah.
like you're
But
probably
anyway,
taking off from work and all this stuff. It's like you should be planning for that, weeks and months in advance. But these people, they didn't show up, so they got that bill. That is hilarious. Though I think sending someone an invoice to your wedding is the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, no matter how it happened, that's a funny thing to do. Where
oh,
did you see this?
it was like an article or something.
Oh my god,
Like
that's
it's one
actually
of the,
hilarious. I'm gonna
yeah.
Google that because I think that's funny. I think that's very petty and funny, and I'm for them doing it just because it's hilarious. But would I actually do it in person? Probably not. But I also think, like you said, there has to be some type of like grace of like, okay, let's plan for 5% of the people not showing or whatever.
Yeah. So,
Um, it's hilarious.
but anyway, yeah. Yeah, so you guys have been to 5 weddings. Damn.
5 weddings since July 31st. So in about a couple months, we went to 5 different weddings. And yeah, we're tired, but it was it was fun. It was cool. A lot of good stuff. A lot of it was good to see people. I think when we got out of quarantine between May until now, we've kind of just tried to make up for the last 18 months or so, or whatever, however long we were in quarantine. And
How
so
is that going?
um it's going all right. I mean, we're tired. I've been traveling a lot, like with that, with weddings and like a bachelor party, and also I've been going up to New York, and we were in LA for something, and so it was like fun to see all these people. But it's tiring. So it's nice. The wedding ended Friday night. Actually, we hung out a little bit on Saturday with some friends, and then drove back to Philly. And so it was nice to just chill last night here, and it was nice to just be home today. Um, but yeah, it's tiring. I don't know, all that traveling. Have you guys been? You went to France, but have you done any more traveling, even inside
No,
of Spain?
no. Nah, I've not done any traveling really. Like, I've just been, I've just been staying put, man. And I feel like I, yeah, like I feel like I don't necessarily feel this itch to want to travel a lot. At least I don't feel like that right now.
Hmm.
So, so yeah, I've been good. I've just been super chill, relaxed.
Yeah,
But, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. But yeah,
uh, I feel you.
well,
All right. Well, I guess this is the 41st episode. I guess happy anniversary to the Be Aiight podcast. Literally a year ago today. Um, if you're in Philly, come to my comedy show on Saturday, October 16th, or October 22nd, or October 28th, or November 20th, or all of them.
where can they find,
Uh, if they
you
go to
better?
if they go to Instagram, go to at Next in Line Comedy, or just go to my page and you'll see that I have it in my bio. Um, so yeah, you can follow all this stuff. I got some freaking seriously, like I'm not kidding, some really funny comedians, like people I would pay to see.
When you say your page, like what
My
page?
Instagram page,
You don't even, what's
yeah,
your Instagram page? Like
at Carvel 89.
you act like people know who you are. Like you're funny. You need,
Yeah, y'all just go to my website. Y'all know what it is. Go to my Wikipedia page.
dude. You need to have a website. You know what? You should go buy mannybrown.com. It's available.
Is it?
Yeah, I actually
Oh,
can't believe it is. So you gotta go buy it now
oh man,
before
I
you
gotta go
stop
on. I gotta go
that.
and GoDaddy. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I just looked on GoDaddy. Mannybrown.com is available. Like I should actually buy it and extort your ass.
Just send me an invoice.
Like I'll put a premium on it.
Yeah, we want the premium one. Yeah.
No,
Oh
you gotta.
man,
Are you kidding me? I can't believe it's available. Like there was a restaurant called Manny Brown's.
there was a restaurant. I mean, that's actually insane
Yeah.
that's available.
So I thought it would be gone.
Actually, I'll buy it so I can put my shit on there.
Yeah, you gotta buy it like today. Because when
Alright.
this thing goes online, it's gone.
Yeah, let me see. MannyBrown.com. MannyBrown.com. That's hilarious. Huh.
Yeah, you gotta buy it. But
Interesting.
anyway,
Okay. All right.
we've
I'll buy
come
it.
to the end of the show.
Yeah. So yeah, and go to MannyBrown.com soon when it's up. But until then, go to Carvel89 on Instagram. Which is a long story, but it's from a Key and Peele sketch. Anyway, yeah. You have anything else?
Nah, man. You'll be all right. Stay safe.
Yeah.
Stay back.
Y'all be all the way. Yeah. Exactly. All right, y'all. Peace.
All right.
Let's see.